Yeah. Absolutely. Appreciate everybody coming back on online today for today's webinar, and very pleased to be joined by Paul Fuller, Head of Sales Membrane, and Jen, who's had a few new jobs recently because she is a great membrane leader within the team there. And I have the great pleasure of working with the membrane guys nearly every week. Actually, we catch up, or we're doing onboarding. And look, today is all about just trying to help everybody see, how we work with our clients and how the technology and the automation really supports your salespeople to be able to sell more effectively. So just to go back a little bit, the first webinar we did was on strategic account management. Then we moved through to prospecting. So the one we're going to do today is more on pipeline. So we'll actually go back to where we left off with prospecting, and that is at the end of the process and about to qualify. Jen, so would you mind please just showing that screen? Thank you.
Yeah,
you got it.
And Jason, I was hoping chime in with one thing here, because I think it's really important as we get this kicked off, and just set the stage a little bit about why, it's really interesting why we so value you and the partnership that we have, is plus one of the things that really we believe in market. And so Jason is all about elevating the sales profession and sales excellence, and he brings that to people every day through process, through coaching, through sales expertise, sales management. And it's perfect for us to partner with that. And why we say that is because we believe really B2B sales is at a crossroads, right? It's at a point in time where there's been some technology overkill, where people are continually, they think more is better in terms of technology. There's been a lot of things in the market that just come out and say, oh, spam people more, or do this more, and you're gonna have great results. And we really think we want to focus on making B2B sales teams excellent. So, and we think that is in three parts, as Jason said, right? So Jason, you did the account management, you did the prospecting. Now Jen is going to drive us into the pipeline, but it's about that process, and being excellent in each stage of this process, and giving the salespeople tools to excel and the coaches tools to be able to coach really well, instead of just saying, oh, here's a database, here's a CRM, we're going to email a lot of people for you, maybe get you a few leads here or there, but to give them something that actually coaches through that process. And that's why we connect so well, I think, Jason, and all of our conversations. So I just wanted to give that a little bit before we hop into this, but you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. For me, quality over quantity. And I think that's where a lot of people really sort of get caught in that crossfire of having too many opportunities, in their pipeline, and they don't move anywhere. So just to double back on something you said, and actually the gentleman is on this call, which is good timing. So we had a session the other day, and there's a client of ours that's looking to move from HubSpot to Membrane. But not only that, but when we actually looked at all the other programs and licenses and subscriptions that he had, it actually, without realizing it, because in most cases, most of us have so many subscriptions doing all these different jobs, where effectively it's just so confusing. And so what we were able to do is go, actually, let's remove these few, or these 2 or 3, because effectively what we can do within Membrane is actually do what you're doing in all those other programs. So there actually was a financial saving, let alone the effectiveness of the tool itself. And I think, from my experience, and most people are scared to change CRM. They get into one and they're like, I don't want to change because it's a huge process to get out of it. But look, to be honest with you, I think if you've got a supportive team behind you, the change can be so much effective within your business. It can create, it does get people out of their comfort zone a little bit, but I think that's really important as well, because you can't just stay with the same program because it's easy. It's got to be, what's the best for my business, and how is it going to help my salespeople and leaders, as you said before, to coach more effectively and to actually create and win, more new business opportunities. And once you've used a system like this, you'll go, wow, it's actually enjoyable to use. I love using it every day. For me, it's not a hard job to use Membrane, because it actually helps me sell.
Well, Jen, let's get to that, because I think this is a great step there. And you're showing right now the the prospecting, and this is it. So we stopped at the last webinar at the end of the prospecting. And so really prospecting is all about the having the cadences and be able to understand the critical qualifiers, right, that you need. So Jen, why don't you take over and take us through this and then into the pipeline?
You got it. So one of the things that I actually learned when I came to Membrane is the importance of qualifiers. So for example, if I don't meet all of the qualifiers that the company has provided for us, I can feel confident that I'm not going to move this into my pipeline. This is probably one of the only companies I've ever worked with that said, if it doesn't fit, don't put it in there. So this is my stop. I don't have 3 green lights. So until I can change this to, something else that's going to matter, or until their situation changes, it should stay here until it's fully qualified. And if there's no chance of ever being fully qualified, then you should definitely get it, move on.
Jason, can I interrupt real quick for a second, Jen?
Yeah.
Because Jason, you help your clients define, these qualifiers can all be specific for an organization, and you help your clients define exactly what should be a qualified deal, correct?
Oh, absolutely, Paul. So yeah, it is very important to understand what a good client looks like for your business, and we can build those qualifiers in. So yeah, effectively, if you've got someone in there and they're trying to push something into the pipeline, well, it's like, hey, hang on a sec, that doesn't meet our ideal client profile, whether that's size or location or problems they're having, or urgency is another one that Jen's got there. And that's a great one, because if someone doesn't want to do something for 12 months, well, then it's not, there's no importance for them. You know what I mean? So yeah, all the qualifiers are very easy to change within your own business. And that's what I love as well, because the markets do change. Look at where we're at the moment. Compared to 3 years ago, there's different challenges for salespeople at the moment. So it's important to qualify them very early.
Exactly. And it won't lie, it prevents happy ears. So with that, once we're 100% sure it's a qualified deal, we can simply move it now into the pipeline. And so we will choose the process that we're looking at. We can have the owner, and here we go. And this is where I will pass it back off to Jason and Paul as we move through now the pipeline process.
Thanks, Jen. That was great. Just maybe a little bit, if you don't mind, Jen, just click back onto the different processes that we have available as well. So that's another area we work on, is we actually have a new business process. We have an existing client process, because the new business is obviously much more involved in ticking off the milestones and what someone where you're already doing business with them, and you want to bring them through a little bit quicker. So because salespeople will try and skip steps. Unfortunately, most of us are very time poor. And we want to be respectful of that, but we also want to have the barriers to stop that. So another option for me would be, where we've got a new product process as well. So we might have a process that we're promoting a new product category or segment. And that is another area that is a huge problem for a lot of companies, because that's why 90% of, 95% of new products fail, because effectively the salespeople really struggle to sell them effectively because there's no process. So yeah, Jen, just wanted to show people that the fact that you can have your own processes and how easy it is to actually build those and change them yourself.
Exactly.
And so
Yep.
one of the differences here, and actually, Jen, if you wouldn't mind go into process and just hitting the little arrow, or the edit button, sorry, on the right. This will just show really easily, and we'll walk through this process. But this is how we build processes and the things that are involved in them. So there's some stats here that I'm going to throw out, Jason. 93% of world-class sales organizations They say their management team is highly effective at helping advance sales opportunities. And why they are so, those 93 of those 93%, most of them use a really strong methodology and give consistent coaching. Right. So what they're able to do with the process is they're able to set not just a sales process, but they're also able to have their sales conversation methodology embedded in that process. And what I mean by that is, as Jen's doing a field here and walking through, right? She's showing that you can do coaching is easy within the process. But as you look at down this, there's four stages in this, which is nice. And each stage has different steps in it and milestones. So where it's really easy to get off track is if you don't have this, if a management team doesn't understand the different steps that are critical to pass and to really pass through each stage, then management teams and reps and coaches get confused, right? I've been there, I've done it, I've tried to build this in other systems. It really doesn't operate real well. When you can tie in those things together, when you could start to tie in the steps or the stages, the steps and the milestones, you really start to get something that people understand. And so you can, when I'm coaching a rep, we can literally go to, and right here, we see this is an opportunity fit. There's an opportunity score in this. We're speaking the same language because I can put information and training directly on that step, such as, I mean, you could be videos, it could be content, it can be other things. And we're having a conversation about the facts about the case, essentially, facts about the project and the pipeline, instead of, and where it is on that process, instead of having a rep fill out a bunch of fields that are in different parts of the process, not using the sales methodology that's been created. And that leads to a lot of questions about how to manage an overall pipeline. Does that make sense, Jason?
Absolutely, Paul. And I had some stats here as well, because the top 10% of sales people evaluated through the Objective Management Group scored 75% in sales process, and that is having effective milestones within that sales process, compared to the bottom 10% scoring 25. So, I mean, there's a huge gap there between the top 10 and the bottom 10% of salespeople. And this, for me, is a game changer, because traditional CRMs, the salesperson can pretty well click it and move it from each stage to the next without completing any milestones. So, I mean, again, from a coaching point of view, I mean, as you said, I mean, we can actually attach videos in here. We can have steps. We've got white papers or articles that the salespeople, if they get stuck at a particular stage, they can go, okay, what can I do to move this forward? You know what I mean? And that's what I love with using the membrane. And so as a partner, as a proud partner, I should say, I actually have the ability I have access to my clients' CRM as well. So when I'm working with their team and working with Jen and Marky and yourself, Paul, I can actually coach through membrane, or I can make some minor adjustments, or we can work through it. I had a client the other day that the sales manager had left, and he reached out, he said, Jace, can you help me? Can you just jump into the membrane and have a look and see what's happening? I said, no problem. So, I mean, and I think what I love about the steps and stages, and so getting back to where we are in this process, I mean, you brought it in there and you qualified it. So now it's about moving through the milestones, making sure we're ticking off each box as we go, because if you jump forward and rush to put the proposal in, well, you haven't uncovered so many other critical areas that are required to actually build the relationship, to qualify, to make sure you've got the decision maker involved, to make sure there's a next step. And that's what I love. So one of the key areas that I work on with my clients is making sure that at each step within the process here, the final step is, what's the next commitment to move forward? So where's the calendar appointment? Where's the phone call, or whatever it is? But you can't really move to the next step or stage until you've actually got that commitment to progress forward. So we also, the way I do it, and I know Jen's done some work with me as well, is that probably 60 to 65% of the work is done before you even get to the actual proposal stage.
Yep. And I think, and so what Jen is showing, she's literally building in, which is really interesting as you start to work through processes and get your team involved in processes, and you start to coach to processes. And I do this all the time, is you can involve the reps in how you change processes, how you build them, how you make them better as feedback comes in. And you do that based on data, which is really, really nice. Hopefully you didn't miss one of the things that Jen was showing, and that is the flag ability. Like, she moved on to the next step. So if you move on to the next step, if she moved on to, for example, she's going back to Peregrine here, she moved on to organize and said, oh, I'm here. It throws up a yellow flag. And what that is that yellow flag is, it can be a number of any things. You can put it up against anything. But for me, it's really helpful then to be able to look at my full pipeline and say, as a coach, who are all the people that need to have some coaching opportunities? What are all the opportunities that I need to look at? How does that look? Are there yellow flags? Are there red flags? We have 3 different types. Red is stop, right? Something is completely screwed up on this. Yellow is, hey, pause, maybe raise your hand and it needs some coaching. And blue is just coaching advice. Blue is just coaching advice. And that says, hey, maybe you should think about this, this, and this. So there's some auto coaching that coaches can build into this. And then it gives me, as the revenue coach, the ability to go in and say, hey, Jen, I think we need to look at dogwood, because dogwood looks like it's like, what's going on there? Why are we struggling with it? Oh, okay. It's no longer my weighted, the estimated closing date is passed. All right, that's pretty easy. So let's make sure we get that fixed set. Now let's dive in and understand where they are exactly in this process. Jen, you use this, and one of the things, Jen, I'd really like your perspective. You've used this in both a management perspective and selling and servicing. How does this change your perspective in working through a sales process and working through CRM when you're using it and have had the opportunity to use it from all those vantage points?
So I think the flagging system, from a management point of view, this helps me quickly identify every single morning anything that may have popped up overnight with some sort of, I want to say problem, not necessarily a problem, but hey, this is a potential that could stop your sale from happening. And I think what was really critical is that these blue puzzle pieces, you're able to coach your sales reps to say, these blue puzzle pieces, you're capable of solving that problem. If for some reason it progresses to this yellow flag or this red flag, hey, I'm down to help. And, we had a fun little game. You call me before I call you if you've got yellow and red, and let's get this thing solved. Alternatively, as a sales rep, where do I start my day? Right here. If it's red, it's the first thing we tackle. If it's yellow, that's the second. If it's blue, that's the third. So not only do I have my daily list of things to do, but I'm not letting anything fall through the cracks by using these flags. So no matter what role you're in, the flags are incredibly helpful.
Absolutely. Jen, would you mind just jumping into one of those processes, please? Just maybe the one you're working in or whatever, which one it was. Thanks. So anything that Jen's been doing there, as well as we scroll up the screen, I hope that's right. You can see here everything that's involved in this process. You'll see all the different things that have been done, the changes that have been made. So again, I think from a leadership and a business owner point of view, I mean, you want to be able to see what's happening with your team. I mean, I have a lot of these conversations every day. It's like my team's not doing enough activity, or they're not doing enough activity in the right areas. So again, when you're doing your one-to-one weekly coaching session, which is best practice, you want to be able to go through and talk to your team about where they're at. So yeah, who's coming into the pipeline, who's progressing, and who are you closing? And as a leader, how can I help you do these things? And that's what I love about Membrane. And maybe Jen, just while we're in this as well, maybe jump into StoryStream if you don't mind, because when
Yeah.
you are coaching at the end of the week, the story stream is brilliant because effectively, yeah, you can click on, a single user or all users or a team section where it'll actually show you where they're up to, what's happening. We can load sales goals in, we can load effectiveness goals in. So it's about seeing what's going on, because as a sales leader, when I used to have a large team, you want to be able to go, is everyone moving today on a Monday morning? What's happening? You know what I mean? Where are they going? What's happening? Yeah, who's progressing through the pipe? And at the end of the week, you want to see, who's done what? And then you want to look to the next week. Where are they going? And I think there's some simple areas and benefits by having the one-to-one weekly coaching session. Now, I know a lot of people say they don't have time, and I understand that, but make time, because if you make the time, it will have the biggest impact on your business by being in the moment and spending time with your salespeople. Only needs to be maybe 15 or 20 minutes, because you should be already they should be well prepared, and you should be able to have access to see all this information as well. So that's a key area for me. And again, as I said, I think just to show the people, or the guys that are online here and anyone that watches it afterwards, is that don't be scared to change from the clunky system you're on, or if you haven't got one, because a lot of people still don't have a CRM because it's too big a job. They're scared to do it. You know what I mean? And I think the beauty of dealing with someone like us as a group with Membrane, and also incorporating what we do with Objective Management Group, it will have the biggest impact on your business moving forward to be able to win more clients and be able to sell more new products effectively. So.
And Jason, may I make, before we wrap up, and thank you everybody so much for coming, but before we wrap up, can I have Jen go one more place that I think would be really, really effective to show? And that is, Jen, do you mind going over to the win-loss? There we go. So one of the things, and this is a really interesting thing about the way that Membrane has built the system. I had a sales as a service business early on in my career, and I spent I ran it for about 10 years. We grew it to good size, spent millions of dollars and thousands of man hours trying to figure out this type of stuff in our CRMs. We tried to build the perfect app, right? And this is the type of stuff that helps me as a revenue coach be really, really good. Not that I'm special in that. It just helps me be a lot better, because I can go to a single person, I can go to my whole team, and I can see how things are progressing through the process because of the way it's built. Think of Membrane as a process builder on top of that data, right? It's more like a sales optimization system than it is a CRM. And because I have all these steps and stages in here, I can start to look at what are the things that are exactly tweaking by rep, by team, by my whole organization. What's helping my win rate? What's the age. This is something that's absolutely was just mind blowing to me when I came on, because I spent so much time trying to do this exact graph in other systems, things like time and stage. So there's a lot of things that once you start to implement your methodology with Jason, get your process down, and then you build it in and start to leverage it, the data that comes out for coaching and to make your business just sing is awesome. And to me, it's game changing and life changing and company changing, which is why I'm at Membrane and love being here. But it also is really special when you can start to take that to a rep and say, hey, I noticed most of your deals only have, let's say, if opportunity score is a really big one and you're going through that particular field and that's important to you, most of your deals are scoring at a 3, right? The largest amount of won deals that we have is between a 7 and 22. So how do we get your deals? How do we look at that, right? To get your deals hitting. So there's a lot of benefit that you can start to do that's reporting that's already built in, as well as customized reporting out the wazoo. But it's one of those things that helps you actually help people get better. So thank you so much, Jen, for taking us there, because I think it's just a really important part about the process and being able to put the pipeline into that stages and stepwise process.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much, Paul and Jen. Greatly appreciate your time and for those that jumped on for this session. Look, we're going to call it quits there today, and we do have some other webinars coming up as well that we're excited to do. So again, have a great day, and thanks everybody for your time.
Thanks all. Have a great night.
Bye, everyone.